3 billion US dollars. Previously, the MMD government left to the PF the amount equivalent to 2,400 billion US dollars. That simply means President Hakainde Hichilema was given quite a number of resources, or found a number of resources or money or national reserves which were at the Bank of Zambia there. That simply means the president can't begin blaming the previous government to say they left empty coffers, because that is not the issue which is there. Besides that, Mr. Chimweka, let me address this key issue, the issue of teacher recruitment, the issue of health personnel.
Before we even get there, let's move step by step, because I know you've already gotten into a number of contentious issues that we also need to talk about from the other perspective, because there's different sides to this story. And when we talk about, first up, you let me take you back to the point you raised of coming out number 3 as a Democratic Party. Is it something that you truly take pride in? Because if we're looking at where the top 2 from the presidential race were and where the Democratic Party was, does it give you any vigor that there's support from the Zambian people?
Absolutely, Mr. Chimweka. What you need to know is that,
because we have politicians from constituencies who've been bragged that they got way more votes than what the whole political party got on the presidential level.
That is not the issue. I know of that issue. I'm going to combine those two. What you need to know in politics is that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We can't begin to say we are not proud of the votes that we got. What is important is we got the votes that we got. Apart from that, when you begin comparing those people who are at constituency level and the president who was at national level, then we are being economical with the truth. In short, we are not following the standard the way they are supposed to be. The scope of a constituency is limited compared to the national scope. That simply means the MP is expected to spend less time and less resources in that constituency. Therefore, for us to begin comparing the member of parliament in a certain constituency with the duties that are being incurred at the national level, then we are not following the standards. It's like when you are in a home, you can't brag to say, for me, I am a father, and indeed for you, you are a father. Then the responsibilities at home, you have got maybe 4 kids, the other one has got 1. So their way of doing things will be different based also on the budgets that they are going to be having in that home. That person with 1 child, the budget will be less, while that person with quite a number of children, the budget will be higher. So that person with 1 child can't brag to say, I take care of my children better than you do. Why? Because that person has only 1 child, while you as an individual, on the other hand, you have got more than 1 child. That simply means the implementations that you are going to be putting in your home with 4 children or 4 kids, it will be different from the way the other person will be living in that home. So basically, for us as a political party, we are happy that we got those votes. Even Mr. Sata started with 1 member of parliament. 1 member of parliament. When he again went back to opposition as opposition leader, 4 years after, he got 49 members of parliament. Now, that has to tell you to say, provided Mr. Sata didn't appreciate that 1 member of parliament who was given to him by the people of Zambia, then he was not supposed to be, he would have not been fair, because 1, as a president, he didn't appreciate, or he couldn't have appreciated, meaning balanda no.
Now you're about to bring up the conversation on teacher recruitment, and it's good you talk about being grateful and okutasha. Let's talk about the teacher recruitment. We're looking at people who are expected to be recruited. In fact, yesterday there was the information coming through from the Ministry of Health in terms of the health workers, the teacher recruitment from Parliament before it closed, before it went on break anyway. We're getting updates around what's going to happen for the rest of this year. And, well, there's a lot of jubilation from teachers expected to put on payroll and getting these jobs. What's your take on that?
No, this government should not to say recruiting a teacher, it can't be considered as providing jobs. Recruiting health personnel can't be considered as creating jobs. What you need to know is that there are civil servants who are retiring on a daily basis. There are also civil servants who are dying almost every day. Those people are required to be replaced. Now, when you want to replace those people, that is a daily routine. It's like celebrating a father in a home for buying a bag of mealie meal to say you have done a great job. No. You can't appreciate a father for buying a bag of mealie meal. But indeed, you are going to appreciate a father after buying a plot and begin constructing. You are going to appreciate the father in that home when he begins making businesses thriving. He comes up with a business family which is going to be thriving or bringing out results. So one, you need to know to say, even previous governments, they have recruited teachers before. Previous governments have recruited health personnel before. From 2016 to 2021, the Patriotic Front government employed about 2 million teachers as well as the health personnel. Now, let us look at the figures which are there. They are going to recruit about 30,000 teachers. Yes, we agree. Now, the question should be, what is a teacher deficit at this particular moment? The teacher deficit in these schools that we are having, it's more than 50,000. 50,000. Even if they employ those 30,000 teachers, there is going to be another deficit of 20,000 teachers to begin occupying these schools in order for them to balance up the pupil-teacher ratio. Now, if that is the case, then you don't expect the government to be separated to say you are going to be employing civil servants, you are going to be employing those teachers, you are going to be employing those health personnel. The main issue which is available is there is maybe a doctor who died at UTH. That person is required to be replaced. Now, if you get those teachers and begin putting them in those positions, the question then will be, are you indeed creating jobs? Or maybe you are just making replacements that are supposed to be made.
But when you talk about that as well, we're looking at how things have been before. We've heard of these unemployed teachers, unemployed health workers who've been protesting that they've been looking for these jobs for a while, they've been waiting. And when they hear this, contrary to what you're talking about, for this is definitely good news. It's definitely something to celebrate.
Now, there are two sectors which drive the nation, the public sector and the private sector. What the government is supposed to do is to create the conducive environment for the private sector, private businesses to begin thriving. That's the most important thing. What you need to know, Mr. Chumweka, is this. There are teachers who are going to be graduating in June, July. There are other teachers who are going to be graduating within this. What numbers are those people who are going to be graduating? Which is going to be graduating. We are creating, indeed they are going to employ them. But what you need to know is that the other teachers are going to begin graduating. There are other health personnel who are going to be graduating. Is the government having an alternative for those people who will be graduating? So now, there are also other people who have graduated previously. Those are the people you are calling unemployed. Now, the issue which is there is that how is the private sector surviving under the so-called New Dawn government? It is failing to survive because businesses are closing down. You have got the vice president who is telling you to say prices have to increase in order for them to reduce. That is economics. But economically, what you need to know is that the private sector has got more room to absorb all the unemployment people than the public sector. Because one, those 30,000 teachers they are talking about, the question should be, what is the plan for the next graduating teachers? What's the plan for the next graduating health personnel? So regardless of what is there, Mr. Chumweka, what you need to know is that those are daily routines. You never heard MMD, PF, UNIP bragging about employing the teachers, employing the health personnel, because they had things to talk about. How can they be talking about teacher recruitment when they are constructing Kazungura Bridge? How can they be talking about if you're That is why I'm telling you today to say you don't create jobs by just employing those people like teachers. One, provided you have got limited schools and you don't know where those teachers are going to be placed, then it is going to be a challenge to your side as a government. Now, this government is creating problems on top of problems because there are companies that are companies close or in short, they have increased the production cost as well as the cost of the business. Immediately are fired or their salaries are reduced. Those people who are fired are going to begin piling up pressure on the government side to say we want employment. The question should cost between improving the private sector by you making sure that you don't give the tax
because government in, government out would just seem to be going back and forth. You're going to have one government that will be focusing on, well, rebuilding the economy and making sure there's food on people's tables. And then there's going to be less focus on infrastructure. People will be crying, saying, well, we are sick in our villages, we don't have a hospital nearby. A government comes in, they focus on infrastructure, and people are saying, well, there's infrastructure, but we are not having food on the table. Cost of living is too high. You come back again, and then you're having a whole cycle coming through again. So where is the problem? Where does the problem lie? And how then, since you're a member of the Democratic Party, what is going to be so different? What will be so different under the Democratic Party?
What will be different, Mr. Chimweka, is this. There are ministries in this government. So we have got the Ministry of Infrastructure Development. That is why we have got the Ministry of Finance. That is why we have got the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Those ministries are specifically placed there for a reason. The Ministry of Agriculture, the focus is finance. The spendings, creating the budget, you begin looking at the deficit of the budget, you borrow, you make a decision here and there. After making those decisions, then you implement. That is why in the country, those ministries are supposed to be given their own duties. Believe you me, it is agriculture in the early 1970s. That is why they had to embark on cultural revolution when you follow the history of China. Besides that, when you look at other countries like Singapore, develops because of technology. Most of the laptops we are having, most of the computers we are having, Rwanda making its own vehicles. We are speaking of Rwanda making its own phones. We are speaking of Rwanda making their own resources. Muno muchalo, Mr. Chimweka. Every time we go to Tanzania to order our vitenge, to order our shirts, our clothes, all of them come from there. Kaunda tatu mpide. We need to begin creating industries, and that is what we in the Democratic Party begin. Revamping the now kwa agriculture sector mwakwata wa mtolo. What implementations has he made? Today I'm speaking, there are farmers who are yet to receive their fertilizers. Baka fibombesha kuisa fertilizers they're not going to use them anywhere. So now we bumper harvest because there has been a delayment on the delivery of inputs. Apart from that also, the government hasn't spent its time to begin looking at what I want to do for the people of Zambia. Instead, they are focusing much on the previous administrations. The UPND government needs to be reminded right here, right now, to say the main reason why they are brought into power is because the people of Zambia already saw the problems which the PF government had. That is the main reason that to kick them out. Now, today the government is in power, then they begin telling you to say, they overborrowed. That is why I was telling even my colleague as I was coming here to say, look, what Zambia was supposed to do, because the investor confidence on the international market has been or it has reduced. What the president was supposed to do just after being sworn in, he was supposed to go to the Eurobond market or the international financial market, to go there and get a loan on the Eurobond market, then pay off that one which we got on the higher interest, because we are having now the people at the Eurobond market who believe that there is now investor confidence in the people of Zambia because a new government has come in to improve or to come good policies which are going to thrive our investment. Meaning, this country, this president and this government has the duty to go there and borrow on the euro bond market, because they provided your loan, the interest rate is 6%. This government was supposed to go there and borrow at 2% interest rate, pay off the previous debt that we had, and begin paying the one that they are going to obtain, because when you do so, you are going to spend less because your interest rate is minimum. Now, at this moment, they know that the policies of the UPND government is zigzagging. They know that their ministers don't have right policies. They know that this government it's a one-man show. Who wants to implement involving the ministers? So now the investor confidence on the international market has dwindled as a result of that.
But that's even as we speak. I mean, that's from your perspective. That's your assumption, because you have no proof on that particular issue.
No. I know how the markets are working.
But this is a public platform. You just come here.
No.
And make an assertion that you cannot substantiate.
You have a president who promised you to say, I'm sworn in at 10 hours by 14 hours the quarter we appreciate. I'm not lying to that fact. Nipa Phoenix in Delanda Pano. Now, since the president promised those people, what was in his mind? He knew to say, immediately I'm sworn in, there are other investors who are fearing to invest in Zambia because of the PF policies. Understand me there. Now, a new president has come in. Those investors who were scared to invest in Zambia because of the policies in the previous government. That is why when you are given the inauguration speech, you talk of what you are going to do. Meaning, those are the policies you are coming up with. Now, those policies do attract the investor confidence. Let me be practical. You tell the Ministry of Health to say, I want medicine in hospitals. Then the Ministry of Health will say, how are we going to do this? Let us begin forming funds or pharmacies that are going to begin producing medicines. The investors are going to know to say, in Zambia they don't have medicine, they want medicine. What do you think will happen? There are other investors who are going to come to Zambia and begin forming companies, begin building companies from the scratch. That is now what we call now the FDI, foreign direct investment. When those people come in now, they are going to begin setting up companies. Those companies are going to set up, it's either they are going to come with their own management, or they are going to be using the management within the country by employing the people who are qualified. By employing those people who have come in as investors, they are not part of the public sector. They are going to be in the private sector. Now that draws me back to the point which I said that first, to say immediately you don't put the conducive policies, you don't put up enough, or you reduce or you improve the environment in the private sectors for business to thrive. It will be hard because businesses will be closing down. Now here is the investor wants to come in, and after coming in, power connected. Now if that is the case, then they realize to say Zesco cable connection has increased by 650%. Again, they move further to say, for us to have power in our apartment or our company, we are going to be required to have a meter box, which is the Zesco meter box. They increased it by 850% from the initial price. Now, the question should be, which investor will be willing to do so? So now, that is why I'm telling you to say, the government had to delay at first. Instead of going to the IMF which has zigzag conditionalities, because they are going to tell you about, no, you need to implement wage freeze, you are going to implement employment freeze, you are going to remove subsidies from fuel, petrol and diesel. It is hard for the country to thrive with those conditions. Okay, you borrow there. What are you going to use the money for? The question will be, who is going to be working there when you have put the employment freeze, meaning not employing anymore? What will happen?
When you talk about the employment freeze, what exactly? Because we're talking about, we just talked about the recruitment that people are still expecting.
No.
So when you talk about
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the part of the conditionalities that are implemented or given by the IMF. The removal of subsidies is one of them. And
because you spoke about employment freeze.
Those are among the conditions to tell this government to say, can you disclose the conditionalities that you have been given by IMF for you to implement? There is a possibility that they may not be given the employment freeze. There is that possibility. However, there is no any disclosure of the MOU or anything of the conditionality between this government and the International Monetary Fund. That simply means anything that we can say, it's just the example I was giving you among the conditionalities that are given. And that is why this government needs to realize to say, provided they went at those conditionalities are given at the IMF, while at the Eurobond market, those that the money is huge, which you are supposed to pay, or going, the maturity will be in phases. This is in phases. That is why you realize Zambia had to default on the first maturity, because of COVID and other issues which the previous government raised. However, provided the president went at the Eurobond market before going at IMF, it simply meant that the president would have gotten a loan at a cheaper interest rate than the way the previous government got. Now, let us talk of maybe 10 billion as the loan which was obtained. This government would have easily gone to the Eurobond market and tell them to say, we have come to obtain the loan equivalent to the one they got maybe from company A, because there are a lot of companies. There are company A, company B, company C. Those maybe going to company A, they can go to company C, they can go to company B and say, we have come to borrow. There is a change in government. New policies have been implemented. And then that company C would have given the government a loan at a reduced the first date, which is on high interest rate. That simply means they are going to begin paying that loan which is currently remaining, which they have obtained at a reduced interest rate, meaning saving on cost on the amount of money which Zambia was supposed to spend on debt.
We know that the current government, we have technocrats in government, those who have come through with the current regime, those who've been there from the previous regime, and all these people out. And there have been different positions given, some relating to each other, others that may be different from what people might have heard. But while we're still at this conversation, let's engage the listeners. Just take one or two calls as we continue with this topic with our guests this evening. Coming through from the Democratic Party, Lazarous Simukoko, 0978-895-895 or 0211-226841. That's how you're getting through. We're just taking two calls before we conclude this conversation. And please keep your questions brief.
Thank you.
Good evening. Who am I speaking with?
And the panelist, Dominic from Mundala. How are you, Chumaka? A long time.
Long time indeed. Great to hear from you. What is your contribution or question?
Sure. First of all, I want to correct your speaker there. In the cycle period from 2010 to 2021, the PF recruited about 2,000 teachers and not 2 million. So the get facts right. Secondly, most of the things he's talking about, I feel that even himself is struggling to explain. Like somebody was just calling him in the morning to say this is what's going on. We appreciate this, everyone's democratic right to form a political party or to belong to a political party of their choice. However, in this day and age, we expect politics that are very mature and well-researched information when it comes to the public. I think some of the opposition right now are struggling, to fit in the new dispensation. I'll give you a good example. Look at Peter Sinkamba. I think he's offering incredible checks and balances, even when it brings up an idea or a solution to government. It's really credible. Like these guys are just. We can good evening.
Thank you so much for coming through. Dominic, we're just taking one other call. Hello, good evening. All right, we don't allow or tolerate calls that do have the rated background to on. The rules have been very clear for many years now. We should all know them by now, rather. Hello, good evening. Hello? Nobody on the line. Let's try the line here. Hello?
Simukoko.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Tele.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, the guest.
Good evening, Mr. Teddy.
Yeah, Mr. Tele. I said, let me just conquer what the previous caller said. You know, when you are coming to this platform, you should have facts. So now I want to find out from the man. No, if it means fuel is high and other things, how are you going to reduce fuel since we are depending to other countries? Because it seems you have got a lot of ideas. But the fact that what you are talking to me, I think we need much. What you are saying, the president, I know that is just man one show. Are you sure? Do you have got a proof? Now, when you are coming, which means you are forming the government tomorrow, what are you going to do like this? People are being arrested each and every time. Thank you.
All right. Contributions, but both of them have one underlying factor: misinformation coming from you.
No.
Lazarus Simukoko.
Let me begin with the last caller. He has talked of the people who have been arrested and how the prices of fuel can be reduced. Now, regarding the people who have been arrested, the question is who? Because one, we need to be specific.
So you're not going to speak on the misinformation?
No. I'm coming to that because I need to respond to the questions that have been raised already.
Okay.
I'm going to come to that. I've started with the last caller because I need to start from there, then I begin going there. There's no problem there. So on this issue again, on the people who have been arrested, we need to know to say many of them are being persecuted, not prosecuted. Let us get those facts right.
All right, and how do we determine those facts?
I'm coming to that. Apart from that, the government is claiming to say the government, which is the previous government, was corrupt. Apart from that issues, the FTJ University, coming to other issues again over the is there. Those people, of course, they have been taken, they have been arrested here and there, but what kind of an arrest has been made? So one, we need to know to say, on that angle, Mr. Simukoko, let us look at the FTJ University court who have been arrested at this moment. Those people arrested for not following the process. Now, I'm not against that fact over the people not following and everything. What I'm against is arresting the people in the previous government and leaving those people who are committing crimes within your government minus arresting them. That is where the challenge comes in. You need to know to say, when ZESCO shortlisted those people who are supposed to supply the 40,000 who then pose, it showed 20 section 89, provided you are going to spend about 100 million US dollars, you are supposed to shortlist or give that contract to the local companies. In if that might be the case, provided there is no any company which has got that capacity of supplying, they can go and run the process. The way the process is done here, apart from that company which is in Zambia to that company which is abroad, then they begin the supply. That is how it works. Now, this government hasn't taken to court or to the police the people at ZESCO for abrogating the ZPPA Act section 89H and section 39. They didn't follow the process. Let us come to the issue of the fertilizer scandal of the minister. They didn't, and they single source. And after single source, nitrogen chemicals of Zambia procured the same amount of fertilizer at 1 if not mistaken, that is 1,000 US dollars per metric ton. Then the other guy who was single sourced supplied at 1.8 million. The question is, where is the transparency which needs to act on both sides? That is where the issue is. I'm not against those people who have been arrested. I'm not against those people being convicted that they are corrupt. All I'm saying is, in as much as you want to arrest current ones, do the same to the people who you are heading as a president, as a government, who are part of. Do the same. It is not right to arrest the previous ministers on charges of corruption and leave your own people who are doing corruption. Then in that angle, we are mismatching things. The law is supposed to apply to that person equally. Coming the first caller, Mr. Dominic, who was calling from Mundola, he has said that in the last 5 years, the patriotic front, instead of two, question should the issue which is there is that what we are constructed in this country. There are roads, health facilities that we are constructing that with the government. You need to know to say almost each and every school which was constructed required teachers. You need to say almost every school which is run, it can't run minus teachers. The question is, how many public schools are we having in the country? How many private schools are we having in the country? Then I'm coming to marry again the free education and also the issue of recruitment. You need to know to one, the teacher recruitment in the previous administration from 2016 to 2021, it was way beyond the 2,000 which Mr. Dominic has announced here. However,
and certainly it wasn't the 2 million.
However, yes, I'm coming to you. However, said because we gather our information from different sources.
That you're not able to substantiate.
No. Those issues can be followed at different offices within government. The Ministry of Education.
So if we check the
go to the Ministry of Education,
because we have internet right now, we can do so.
But the issue is do so.
And this will have a definite impact on the information they give us here.
Beside that, no, it has no effect. What you need to know is that regardless of the issues that the previous government might have faced, maybe which way, that is the main reason they changed the government. Now, since that is the main reason why they changed the government, it simply means all the insecurities, all the failures that they thought that the previous government made, it is the main reason why they brought in the new government. So now, the point I'm trying to drive at is this, Mr. Chimweka. When you are looking at statistics, one, teacher recruitment, we need to know to say, mainly it runs annually. Because one, two, there are teachers who are dying almost on a daily basis. Those people are required to be employed. Follow me there. There are certain adverts that run in community schools which are owned by the government. Government schools run adverts at the community. When a teacher dies at one basic school in Chingola, they can't go on media and begin announcing to say there is a teacher who has died, so we want Zambians to apply. Malamonat government, the minister addressing the issue of one teacher. That teacher will be required to be replaced. How is the replacement going to be made? They are going to talk to the education, the district education board to say there is then they are going to bring in a teacher. How is that teacher employed? There are certain adverts that now those adverts That is why I'm telling you to say the recruitment of teachers, the recruitment of health personnel, Mr. Chimweka, those are daily routines in every government, because one, the teachers are supposed to be replaced, those who are dying, and all those people who are dying. That is a daily routine. So you don't expect the government to begin talking about teacher recruitment as if it's a big issue. Yes, it is a big issue. However, it is a daily routine of every government. Besides that, now, the question should be, the best question, Mr. Chimweka, should be, how many teachers died from 2016 to 2021? How many teachers retired from 2016 to 2021? When you come up with those figures, then come up with one thing to say, how many schools were constructed between 2016 to 2021? That is statistics is needed. That is statistics is needed. Now, when you come up with the statistics of the teachers who died, you come up with these new schools which we are constructed, count the figures. So count one, the death rate of the teachers from the period of 2016 to 2021. Count the new schools that were constructed. Count the people who retired in the process. Are you telling me that one, the figure is at 2,000? That is not the issue. That is why I've said one, the Ministry of Education basiyakalima bali akuti bakita produce information eyo nalanda pano shivepa ini shivepa
going forward, because there's a number of issues that we can talk about.
Yes.
That needs to be done, that even the government of the day acknowledges needs to be done. We can all talk about for hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
But in conclusion, what would you say further that you'd be expecting as a member of the Democratic Party for the current government to do? Because we're looking at checks and balances here and the expectation from the current regime.
One, the government needs to revet its decision, because a ton of copper is sold at $11,000 at this moment. Companies were running when copper was trading at $3,500,000 per metric tons. Now that means Zambia is supposed to be getting more taxes from the mining sector than any other sector. 12% of our national GDP come from the mining sector. That is the fact. That is statistics. Apart from that, we need to know to say, the moment you know that the copper at the international market, the copper prices at the international market have increased, you need to realize one thing. What is that thing? The government should take advantage. That is why President Magufuli of Tanzania had to go there and say, no, we are going to make sure that we change certain policies. That is why in this country, when Yaounda was the president, we had Memako, which was accounting for, which was reported to the government. Now, provided that was the case, now what is happening now is this. One, China will tell you something else to say. We got Zambia else. The mining company itself will tell you something else. Different statistics from 3 different institutions dealing with the same commodity within the country. That simply means there is inefficiency with the way we are handling issues. Now, since there, make sure that it brings back the subsidy in order to implement the free education, because in private schools, there is no any free education in private schools, and statistically there are private schools than public schools, meaning quite a number of people who are going to school are still paying school fees in those private schools. On top of that, they are buying a bag of meal they were promised to buy at 50 kwacha at 170 kwacha. Now they are now buying cooking at an expensive price. They are now buying quite a number of commodities at an expensive price. Mr. Chimweka, if one
here to prove that you're actually lying. It's wrong information. God knows where you get, because that is absolutely not the truth.
What is the truth?
When you're talking about the recruitment, as it stands, Zambia has about 105,000 teachers in the country. So where in the world did you get 2 million from? How can you years and you only have 105,000?
Wait, I'm coming to that.
You've been caught lying to us.
No. That is not the case. I was saying my statistics, I said about 2 million. Understand that point.
Which is far off. It's not even about.
No.
That's a far off.
Understand my issue. The teacher today. The teacher died in a week. Are you going to count that as not recruitment?
Certainly will not add up to 100.
No. Answer my question. You employ a teacher today.
Moreover, with our current budget.
No. Wait, I'm coming to you.
The budget that was there before.
No. I'm coming to you. You employ a teacher today. The teacher dies after a week. Isn't that recruitment? I want you to answer that question.
I'm not going to answer questions.
No. I understand. I'm here to answer questions.
Yes.
It means that what I've told you to say. From 20 died. How many teachers have retired?
Certainly not even 1 million.
No, I'm coming to you. Yes. Now I'm coming to you. Now, when you calculate this, one, there are people. My question, which is that questions, but these questions, where they are. Employ a teacher today, the teacher dies in a week. You employ the health personnel today, which is the doctor or a nurse, the nurse dies after a week. That is treatment.
Lazarous Simukoko, the facts of the matter here are that there were no 2 million teachers that were recruited.
Now listen.
That has not happened
on this
at
angle.
all.
Now, whether it happens, now what you need to know is that
is false.
No, you are million.
To us about
no, I didn't lie. You're considering 2 million as a once-off thing. Follow the process. Said from 2016. I want you to understand that point which is there. That is why I'm telling you to say, one, there are teachers who died along the way. In this case, we are just scoping it to the teachers. Those teachers who stopped work because they raised the money for capital for them to start businesses. Then they stopped along the way. You also have the teachers who started, then they died. You have got people who retired. That is why I've asked a few questions. The question is, how many teachers died from the period 2016 to 2021? How many teachers stopped along 2021? Third, how many teachers retired because of age?
So are you still trying to justify to us that there were 2 million?
I'm coming to you. Let me explain this and justify my point. You are having a company. Let me bring it now to the lower level. You are running a company. Then they tell you to say, from the moment you started this company, how many workers have you employed to work? The other person I employed died. The other person I employed had to change the town and went to the other place and decided to stop working from here. Those people are going to be considered as people who have worked in your company. There should be. How many teachers from the period of 2016 to 2021 have worked in the public schools? Understand that point. Of course, I understand that there are those who are on voluntary basis, those who do my TP and everything. The question should be, provided you have got teachers who stopped work along the way, because one, they raised capital. The second thing is that because we have teachers again who retired due to age, we have got teachers who died, we have got teachers who stopped work, and those who are just recruited.
people. That is the fact of the matter.
I have given you the statistics. No. Look,
which clearly have been false to us.
When you are no.
And really, we'll find that disrespectful because this is a public platform. You cannot come here and start lying that are not proof that are false.
No,
you really can't do that.
Now,
you really can't do that.
No, Mr. Chimwe. As much as you have said you can't answer questions here, I've tried to ask you people who died from 2016 to 2021, those who are teaching. Do you have the statistics of the people who retired from 2016 to 2021?
As a logical person, we know that would never even amount to...
Logical
that
doesn't work when it comes to statistics.
And either
one, you are being told today, you are being told today that
3.7.
You are being told that the 3.7 was spent on the FTJ University. That is the 15%. Mulekana, you are using logic, but it was spent.
You've brought up points throughout this